Yo, what's going on, guys? Jetxc here, and I wanted to talk to you guys about an article that came out from this Japanese outlet. That this is the first time I've seen it, but it looks like they've been writing articles for a couple years now, and it's called Culture.jp is where I'm looking at this, and they actually did an article on Snowbreak today, right? And the title of it read, "1 month has passed since entering maintenance. A Chinese industry figure warns adult games in China are likely walking a tightrope." So I wanted to read this article to you guys and really talk about two main points, right? And one main point is they go over an industry insider that talks about adult games in China. And then one little excerpt as well from, we don't know who, but someone that kind of gave their feedback on Snowbreak shutting down during its whole maintenance thing, right? So it's really interesting here, and yeah, I kind of want to talk about it, but at the beginning we're gonna go over some things that we already know. So if you want, I'll probably have things sectioned out, so if you want to skip to the main part, definitely do that. But essentially, this article here by Culture, it's a pretty short article. It's actually well written here, but it goes over the overall incident of Snowbreak, right? I translated it on Grok here, and they just talk about like the origin of the incident. And just so you know, this is what they say at the beginning. So Snowbreak is an 18 plus adult only game in China, and many people argued that it was inappropriate for a state-owned enterprise like China Post to collaborate with such a title. While some claimed feminists had incited the backlash, Chinese local media covered the story extensively. In a country with strict game expression regulations, this led to the worst case scenario. The game came under scrutiny from government institutions. The story was even reported on the television news program. The collaboration was immediately canceled. And similar to Love and Deep Space, their China Post thing was canceled as well. So they also cover the fact that the official videos were made private, which that did happen, right? Um, and then on top of that too, and this is just to show like how much they looked into it, claims that the game contained content that crossed the line. They talked about how, and here's an example. Although not fully explicit, the game apparently included scenes that metaphorically suggested sexual acts. Just before maintenance began, those sections were quickly made unplayable. In China, games must pass censorship and obtain an official edition number, license from the National Press and Publication Administration. Sexual expressions or even implications of them are strictly prohibited. A collaboration controversy could normally be resolved with the cancellation and apology, but this incident likely caused authorities to view the game Snowbreak itself. Now, again, we don't know for sure the reason. Most people have said it's due to server migrations, but we'll have to find out. Hopefully next week is supposedly when it's supposed to come back, right? But the article goes on. So they also talk about how the game has been shut down for over a month. And they mentioned something that people thought at the beginning was an issue. So they say, however, the servers remain offline even after March 12th. This strongly suggests that either formal administrative guidances was issued by the government agencies or the game required major content revisions to pass censorship again. And this is in regards to, in China, there is a like a political thing that happens on the 4th and the 12th, and it's called the National People's Congress, right? And basically during that time, within the first like week when it was down, some people believe that that was the reason why maintenance was happening for so long, was to avoid this People's Congress, so there wouldn't be any extra scrutiny or criticism, right? Again, we don't know. But yeah, so they cover it pretty well here. I was actually surprised, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna read you guys an excerpt from somebody from a Chinese media outlet called Sina Finance, and they kind of give a critical tone on Snowbreak. Now, keep in mind, guys, we do know that Snowbreak does get a lot of hate. We know that they've gone through things within the industry when it comes to the voice actors all of a sudden having to quit. And to be honest, there's other games like Azur Lane that, I'm gonna be honest, guys, Azur Lane is just as lewd, if not lewder, right? So you have to keep a lot of this stuff in mind. Snowbreak does get a crazy amount of hate on the CN side, so keep that in mind as I read this. But this is from an analyst. Some analysts point out that whether or not Snowbreak crossed the line, crossed the regulatory line, excuse me, this time a major overhaul of its expression is unavoidable. Character designs and artworks are highly likely to be comprehensively reviewed. Instead of relying on the previous provocative direction, the game will need to refocus on gameplay and enjoyment. This incident serves as a warning to other games attempting to blur boundaries. When measured against public order, morals, and general social values, commercial strategists that try to exploit loopholes are unsustainable. So, again, there's no evidence and there's no hint that the game is going to be censored. This is definitely a very critical tone for Snowbreak, because if that's the case, then Azure Lane would have been out of here, in my opinion. But yeah, just keep that in mind. And then I'm going to give you like an industry insider's opinion here of the whole thing that's happened. And it's pretty interesting because he does make some good points. But yeah, this is his excerpt of what he thinks of everything that's happened from a gamer's perspective, right? So this reads, the more luxurious the compensation, the bigger the underlying problem. This is common knowledge in the industry. They are giving away 5-star characters and 5-star weapons, plus daily gacha currency for every 24 hours the servers are down. This is the largest compensation package since the game launched, but have you ever stopped to ask why now of all times? A few days ago, the collaboration event with China Post was suddenly canceled, triggering a massive public backlash. Some complained that the character designs were too explicit, others said that the promotional material contained sexual implications. What happened next? All global servers entered maintenance simultaneously. Japanese, Taiwan, Korean, everyone shut down at once. I once played a social game that had a similar incident. That game never came back online. Brothers, this is not a simple situation. In 2024, Snowbreak officially shifted to an adult-oriented direction and completely banned logins by minors. The characters wear revealing clothing and have exaggerated body proportions. This is obvious to everyone. But that's not the real problem. The real issue is, why would an adult game reach out to collaborate with public government institution? It was like voluntarily walking in front of a gun barrel. One of my friends had spent 80 won, which is 1.85 million yen, and I translated that. That's basically around $11,000 on Snowbreak. The night after the announcement came out, he wrote in the group chat, "Are all the skins I bought going to disappear?" No one could answer him. The operators have not announced a resumption date. They haven't said what will happen to player data, nor have they confirmed whether compensation will actually be distributed. The gacha currency you paid for, the skins you purchased, the characters you spent time raising, everything is locked inside the currently offline servers. You cannot retrieve something that has no physical form. What you think you own, quote unquote, is not the virtual items themselves, but merely a lending contract. The other party has the right to unilaterally terminate the service at any time. Does this sting? But this is reality. I have been saying this for a long time. Adult games in China are like walking a tightrope. You can make adult games, but you must clearly understand where the uncrossable line is. Once you step over it, it's over. So here's what I want to say and kind of give my thoughts to end the video here. I do think he makes a couple of good points. First off, adult games in China, I 100% agree, is like walking a tightrope. If this game were in Korea or Taiwan or even Japan, right, like there would be no issue, because there's other games that are just as lewd, if not lewder. It's been really really rough, even with like Nikkei and Azure Lane, right? Like they have like censorship added onto it, and some of them have ways to get around it, but it is what it is when it comes to making an adult game in China. However, Snowbreak has been doing a good job of having basically everything censored, and then there's like a way to get around that. And some people can argue that the ASMRs are lewd, but it's not within the game, right? It's like outside of the game. But I think Snowbreak has done a pretty okay job at, not crossing the line, right? I do believe if Snowbreak were in a different location regionally, they would have all of this stuff like in game, like ASMR. I think things would be way more explicit. I actually think they would go crazy, right? And that would be peak, but unfortunately they have to do what they have to do. They also kind of talk about how like the server's been off for a month and you can't access your stuff. Obviously, everyone is aware of that when it comes to these gacha games and even video games. You don't technically really own it depending on the game or what you play. Sometimes they'll leave like the game up even though it's shut down for people to view the stuff that they've purchased. But it's just something to keep in mind, right? And will Snowbreak get censored because we had like the critical backlash from that one guy that is from a Chinese media outlet? I don't think so. From everything I know, I don't think there's going to be any censorship to the game. Now, will they come out with ASMRs? or will they have like suggestive things in trailers? I have no idea. I honestly think everything's going to be the same, but I just wish we had more clarity. And unfortunately, we're not going to get that now. But I wanted to give you guys this as like a more of a different perspective, that it's just really tough for Snowbreak because you have to compile all of this. And then what happened in 2024 when all the voice actors had to leave, they weren't forced, well, they were forced to leave, but the reason they left was because there's a lot of industry politics um, within different parts of China. And if you don't know, I highly suggest you check out that video because uh, it's not like they hated Snowbreak. It's they had to leave. They were forced to, right? And Moo and the director of Snowbreak gave hints at what was going on behind the scenes. So there's a lot of just dirty politics, a lot of like CN drama online when it comes to uh not just Snowbreak but Love and Deed Space too. So the adult games in their respective parts, right? So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this. We will be finding out hopefully next week when Snowbreak comes online what's going to happen and what's going on, but I'm hoping for the best. But I thought this would be good to show you guys. All right, that's it for me. I'm out. Later.